Dr. Arthur Smith is both a cancer survivor and writer of the groundbreaking doctoral dissertation, The Power of Thought to Heal, a realistic, scientifically based explanation of mind-body medicine. Today, he continues to write, lecture, and teach interactive seminars to healthcare professionals on how to integrate mind-body medicine into their practice.
Probably the most powerful evidence there is for the power of thought to heal is the lowly placebo effect. You all know what that is, I'm sure, right? Well, the placebo effect is used to test drugs. If the drug is as good as a placebo or no better, it's no good. If it works better than a placebo, it works. I want to tell you a story, a 1957 story involving a Mr. Wright. Now, ladies, this is not the perfect man you're looking for, okay? This is Wright as in, let's say, the Wright brothers. But in this case, there was something very wrong with Mr. Wright. He had advanced lymphosarcoma, multiple tumors, some bigger than grapefruits, throughout his body. They had to pump fluid from his lungs daily. He needed oxygen just to breathe. In short, they weren't expecting him to live for more than about maybe 2 or 3 more weeks. But Mr. Wright had heard about this new miracle cancer drug called cribiazin. Now, the drug was later discredited, but he'd heard that at this clinic where he was staying that they were doing a study on it, and he wanted in on the study. So he asked to get in on it. Well, at first they told him, no, you can't be in on it because you needed to have a prognosis of survival for more than 3 months to get in on the study, and he didn't qualify. But he begged and pleaded, and he finally got on the study. So his doctors gave him a shot of this stuff. Now, this is a drug that was later discredited. But guess what happened? His tumors, in the words of his doctors, melted like snowballs on a hot stove. Within 2 or 3 days, he's up wandering around chatting with the people on the wards. 2 weeks later, he's out of the hospital and up flying around at 12,000 feet in his private plane. Now, this was a guy who couldn't breathe without oxygen just 2 weeks earlier. Well, unfortunately for Mr. Wright, the controversy over cribiazin became quite public, and stories started coming out on the news discrediting the drug. Well, guess what? Mr. Wright's back at the clinic again, tumors as big as ever. Now, the doctor, acting on a hunch, decided to try something. The doctors were pretty convinced that cribiazin didn't work at this point. So what did they do? They cooked up this cockamamie story about how the cribiazin that Mr. Wright had taken had degenerated in the bottles, and that they were receiving a new shipment of cribiazin, this new extra strength stuff that wouldn't degenerate in the bottles. So what do they do with Mr. Wright? They give him a shot of sterile water. Not saline, sterile water gives a little sting, you know, that nice medicated feeling? Well, guess what? The tumors melted away even faster this time. And Mr. Wright is out there living a completely normal life for another 2 months. Well, that's the good news. The bad news is more stories came in about the ineffectiveness of cribiazin. So this time, when Mr. Wright returns to the clinic, he'd lost all faith in the cribiazin, but worse than that, he'd lost faith in the doctors. They tried to tell him that his mind cured him, but he would have none of that. He was what they call a logical and scientific person. So consequently, he was dead within a couple of weeks. Now, the moral of the story is, first we have this guy who's at death's door. He takes a useless shot, outliving a normal life. Here's the word about the cribiazin. He's back at death's door again. Takes a shot of water. He's outliving a normal life again. Here's more about the cribiazin. He's back at death's door and finally through it. The only thing that changed in this entire scenario was the man's belief in a useless drug.